city falls, the taste is bittersweet. Restlessness and worries for a future far away. I travel into the unknown to make sure you will see another day. I would wait 1,000 years for you.
All right. Hello, hackers. Welcome to... Oh, wait. I have a label now. Welcome to Tagger Tech. This is Attack on Tuesday. So Tuesdays we do offensive security here, so we're gonna break into some stuff. And in particular tonight, I'm pretty excited. We're going to be doing a deep dive onto a piece of software that I know and love, which is the OWASP Z attack proxy, or ZAP. And it's essentially my go-to weapon of choice when it comes to web application assessments. And even though I'm on the blue team, web application security assessments are pretty much my bread and butter at my day job. I do them kind of day in, day out, and ZAP is kind of my primary tool in my toolbox. We have automated scanners, but the truth is that if you really start paying attention to things, and you really start getting deep into especially modern web applications, there's a lot of stuff the automated tools aren't going to catch, and you want to have eyes on with a little bit of help, and that's what ZAP is all about. So we're going to dive into how to use it, how to get the most out of it, and how to customize it for exactly what your use case might be. So without further ado, let's get this going. All right, so here I am. I'm in Try Hack Me. We're going to be doing the bookstore app tonight, and the bookstore room tonight. And we're going to have a little help from The Midnight. Pretty cool LA retro synthwave band, whom I just learned allows streamers to use their music on stream. So thank you, The Midnight. Go check them out. They have a stream too, actually. They stream composing new music. So go check them out and buy their albums, buy their merch. They're pretty cool. But okay, let's talk about ZAP. So I have Bookstore open. We have an IP address. But before we even get to that, let's actually fire up ZAP and learn about how it works. Now, a lot of the professional, pen testing training that you're going to see involves Burp Suite from Portswigger. And Burp is a great piece of software, and there's a lot that you can do with it, and I don't mean to ding Burp at all, except it costs a lot of money. It's $400 per year for a single license, and that's a lot. I don't have that kind of scratch kicking around, so I have tried to, for the last year, work pretty much exclusively with ZAP to learn how to do it well and how to kind of make it fill in all the gaps that I was using Burp for previously. When I was kind of running my own business, I could justify the expense, but as an employee, there's no reason for me to do so. You might think, well, Taggart, why isn't your company buying you ZAP, or buying you Burp? Good question, but the truth is that ZAP is pretty solid for what we need. So so let's play with it. So the first thing we're going to do once we open up ZAP is note some of its configurations and layout. So let's go through it. The first thing it does is it asks us if we want to persist the ZAP session. I don't, but when I'm doing a real engagement, I absolutely do. I'll choose yes, I want to persist the session, and I choose where I save it, and I will create a session that's named appropriately so that all the data that I collect is saved in one place. And if for whatever reason I have to close the session, I have to close ZAP, I can reopen it at any time, and all of my history is still there. But for now, totally fine here. I can always change this later. So if I choose to persist the session at a later date, I can go to File and Persist Session, and then I can save it wherever I want. All right. Now, our terminal is also set up. Oh, It's almost set up. Let's move all of the windows over into Bookstore. Okay, so I've got my Bookstore terminal windows here in Tmux, so that's all good. Now, this is a proxy, so what it's going to do is it's supposed to redirect web traffic through it, and then do analysis both passive and active once that's going on. So I have to make sure that whatever browser I'm using is configured to redirect the traffic through the proxy. Now, on Windows, you can configure the proxy kind of globally in the system settings, but in Linux, you can set up the system proxy, but also helpfully, and this is true for both all Chromium browsers, you can also set it up using an extension called the Switchy Omega proxy extension. I use this because it's really, really easy to configure. If I go to like my options here, you can see that I've just configured my ZAP profile, which redirects all HTTP traffic to localhost on port 8080, which is the default for ZAP. Just like Burp, actually. If I closed ZAP right now and opened Burp, this would still route the traffic through that proxy. I can set up multiple proxies if I wanted, no problem there. And to kind of stop something from going through the proxy, no problem at all. All it takes is for me to turn the extension off. I either select it or I don't. Now, I like to focus it in even more. And so this isn't really a ZAP configuration, but it is something that I like to do, which is I will set up a separate browser profile for the test. So if I click here in Brave, you can see I've got a pen test profile. And if I open that up, I don't need to restore anything. If I open that up, this one's totally dedicated to whatever I'm testing. So you can see it's got ZAP enabled. It's got the same extension. I have a couple of other tools in here that I like. I don't need the cryptocurrency card Brave. I'll turn that off. But that's just one way to limit the traffic going through it. You can also configure ZAP to exclude certain things from your proxy. As a matter of fact, you can see here that I'm already getting traffic from static.brave.com, things like that, accounts.google.com. So what I can actually do is right here, I can right click on any of these and choose exclude from, and I'm going to choose exclude from proxy. However, that's only going to do that for this session. I know that I'm going to want accounts.google.com, update.google.com, and static.brave.com. I never want to see those again. So instead, I'm going to go up to my options here. I can either go to Tools and Options or click on this little gear icon. And there's a global exclude URL. And you see there's already some pre-filled options. Like there's a whole bunch of the Bing stuff. Google Analytics. You can see a whole bunch of this is going through, and I can enable all these LastPass if I had that going. But if I want to add more, I can do that. I can click add, and I would do https://. So let's do, now it's regular expression, keep in mind. So actually I should do // and actually, you know what, even easier, I'm just going to do .*brave /brave.com, and that's going to take all the Brave stuff out. Okay. And let's anchor it as well. And I'll just delete that to clean that up. And I'll exclude this one from the proxy so you can see how that works. It fills that one in for me as well. So that'll just keep the noise level down for the stuff that I want to focus on. So ZAP has three kind of window areas by default, right? We have the sites tree here. we're going to have the request and response view window over on the right-hand side. And then down at the bottom, we'll have history, search, alerts, output. This is kind of like the details menu. And I'm going to see more things as I begin working with traffic. So first thing we need to do is take a look at what we're doing in this bookstore. We don't have a whole lot of options here. This is a medium rated difficulty. We'll see. So I'm going to take this IP address and I'm going to start working on it. The first thing I'm going to do is do enumeration. So I'm going to fire up Rust scan and just get that IP address going. And bookstore. All right, 22 and 80 right off the bat, so I know that there's a web application port 5000. That's weird. We'll check out what that is once the nmap scan gets finished. But I know that I have 80, so let's go visit that in our proxy window. Nope, don't need to translate it. So just first glance, let's see what we're looking at here. We've got welcome to the bookstore. Now, I always like to view source myself, but I want to take a look at ZAP right away just so we can see what's going on. The first thing is I'm going to take this site, right, that I know I'm working with, and I'm going to right click and include it in the context. I'm going to create a new context for it. Contexts are sets of configurations that ZAP will use to set up testing. So things like what technologies are we going to test, right? Once we learn what those are, how is authentication handled? We can set that up so that that ZAP can log in to the application itself without manual intervention. What users will we use? Things like that. It's kind of what we do. Session management, alert filters, anything that we want to care about. So, you know, things that, like, if I want to filter an alert, one filter like I know I don't care about, for example, is timestamp disclosure, right? I don't give a crap about that. So timestamp disclosure is just like, get rid of it. Call it an FP, right? It's fine. Now, you can see that once I've added this site to a new context, it's got this little. It looks like, for me, it looked like the Ubuntu logo for a while, but it's a target, which of course it is. And if I choose the target button up here, it'll say show only URLs in scope. Again, cleaning that up. And the same was true down for my history and my alerts as well. So if I want to just see the stuff that I have in scope, I'll turn that on, and that'll limit that to just what's in scope. All right, so you can see I'm getting some stuff back, robots.txt. Always good to look to see if there's something there. No, there isn't. It's a 404. But now you can see what the request and response sections look like. You can see the request up here in plain text and the response headers up here, body down here. If the body is gigantic, you won't be able to see it. It'll tell you that it's too large, but otherwise you'll be able to see it and work with it here. We can also, for burp users, you know, it's very easy to take an existing request and kind of resend it. So what I would do here is I'd right click on, you know, say main.js, right? Right click on this and choose open and resend with the request editor. And I can change up any of the stuff, right? It's totally editable. And then if I hit send, I'll get that response back. You can see here, there's the manual for it. So very easy to do manual request editing. Let's talk about some other, let's talk about alerts, and then we'll kind of move into plugins from there. So we haven't even done that much enumeration yet, but we just want to get our tool set up. We're deep diving into ZAP. So already, let me focus this in on the site I care about. So we have some alerts here. Now, a lot of these are just like low-level findings. These wouldn't be things that I'm planning on exploiting. I do want to check out suspicious comments if they're ever there. But one thing I've noticed with suspicious comments is that they kind of suck, to be honest with you. This is not a solid alert. But the good news is that the community actually has us hooked up. So we'll talk about customization for scripts in a second, but also let's talk about plugins or add-ons. So there is a marketplace of add-ons built into ZAP for things that you can do with it. I have a bunch that I already have installed, like custom payloads and community scripts. The fuzzDB files that allow easy fuzzing with pre-built lists built right into ZAP. Really, really handy. Also drivers for Linux, Mac OS, Windows, whatever we're doing. There's also JavaScript web token support. I actually think I need to install that one, so perfect. So if I go over to Marketplace, you can see other stuff that I haven't installed yet, right? So Wappalizer, I have that in my browser, but I might want that in ZAP as well. That just identifies technologies used. And what else? Browser view. That's actually nice. I want the JSON and JWT support. Highlighter allows you to request strings in the request and response tab. Okay, that sounds cool. Let's get that. And SAML. And view state. Okay, install selected. And it'll just go and grab these. You can see it's really, really fast. And the Wappalizer extension just showed up. So once I start getting site information coming in, Wappalizer is going to take that and scan it. Let's actually reload the page and see if Wappalizer picks it up. And it does. You can see that it's already telling me that I'm using Apache and Ubuntu. And if you can look at the Wappalizer extension that I have in Brave right here, and it says the same sort of stuff. Not a whole lot of information, not a lot going on here, but still useful. All right, let's see if the Nmap scan finished. It did, so let's see what we got there. All right, let's see. Port 22, port 80, port 5000. This is interesting. So port 5000 is being served by Werkzeug, which is kind of a Flask server thing, and there can sometimes be some vulnerabilities there, including a code console, so that might be interesting to see. And there's also a /API in the robots.txt that they don't want us to know about. So that's really interesting. Was there anything else? No. Okay. Let's go get that port 5000 just to see what's up there. This is a REST API for science fiction novels, and then you saw that there was a /API. Okay. And just to complete our quick enumeration here, watch this. If we do a search exploit for Werkzeug, you'll see that there are a couple of things in here. And let me actually grab one of these to inspect. So the details on this don't matter so much, except what I wanted to focus on here is this /console. So if this console that allows remote code execution, if it's available, it's going to be there at /console, probably. So we'll hang on to this, and I'm going to duplicate this and go to /console. Okay, so the console is present, but it's protected by a pin, which is kind of interesting. Let's actually look that up. So if I look up the Werkzeug console, you can see that I've got some information here about the console. And let's actually see if I can look up the pin information. Yeah, so the pin is part of the configuration for the console. And yeah, debugger pin. Okay, so this is really kind of cool. We haven't seen anything else about this, but we do know that this is kind of how this system works. Starting with workzoig 0.11, the debug console is protected by a pin. This is a security help to make it less likely for the debugger to be exploited. Okay. The pin is generated in a stable way that is specific to the project. An explicit pin can be provided through the environment variable workzoig debug pin. This can be set to a number and will become the pin. That's really interesting. So, just something to keep in mind as we go through this. That there's an environment variable that might give away the game. If we have, like, remote code execution or something else, there may be something there. Now, 5,000 is in its own context. What I'm going to do is actually remove... exclude from the context. I'm going to make a separate context for the port 5000. Because it's going to be a little bit different. And I want it to be scanned differently, so separate that out just a little bit. Okay, cool. So we have our context set up. We've got this console. Let's go back to that API. So you can also see we've got these endpoints. Pretty interesting. Now, these are plain text, and they're not links. How could I easily get them into ZAP? One way, and the way that I'm going to do it, is I'm going to take these endpoints, and I'm going to save them in a plain text file. And I'm going to call it endpoints.txt. And just paste those in here. Get rid of the empty lines. And just kind of delete everything that's beyond the end of the URL path. Cool. Now we have ourselves some endpoints. To get them into ZAP, to test them, what I can do is I can use curl. I can use a bunch of stuff, but just really easily I can use curl. And what I'll do is I'm going to actually use a little bit of fish scripting. You can do this in bash, but I'm using the fish shell. So really easily what I can do is for e in, and then I'm going to cat endpoints.txt just to get each one of those in sequence. And I'm going to do curl -k. It's HTTPS even though it isn't really, because when I send it through the proxy, ZAP turns it into HTTPS. And let me talk about that in a minute. But for now, let's get rid of that. And it has a // at the end of this. So I'm just going to say E for endpoint, and put those in double quotes. And proxy, HTTP / localhost 8080. Oh, maybe it is HTTP. There we go. So we got this data back from the API, but also let's look in ZAP to see what happened. Look at that. I got those addresses into, right here, I got those addresses into ZAP. Now you'll see in the request that the user agent is curl, but that whatever. So we have that in there. If there were any errors in there or anything like that, we are checking for them. Now, I said I was going to talk about HTTPS and how ZAP handles it. One thing you want to make sure of when you're working with ZAP is that you have your certificates set up correctly. So, I'm not going to go through how to do it in Brave, but whatever browser you're using, you should know how to import root certificate authority, root signing certificates. And with ZAP, it creates its own. If I go into options and dynamic SSL certificates, you can see that it's generated this cert here. If I save that out, I can import it into whatever browser I want. And if I do that on Windows, by the way, it will import it globally. So you have to specify. Don't do the automatic import. Specify that you want to do it as a root CA, and then you're good. It will recognize your traffic and it won't give you an SSL error. All right, now we don't know anything about this yet. There might be an SQL injection vulnerability in here, something like that. But we have more that we can do. Also over here in our bookstore, because we haven't really explored this either. But before I start doing that, I want to enable some stuff in ZAP. So the expansibility or the extendability of ZAP is one of its really big selling points. So let's look at the script console and see what we can do with that. You can script ZAP a bunch of different ways. And it has support for multiple programming languages, actually. You can do it in Java, you can do it in Python, you can do it in JavaScript, and you can even do it without writing a single line of code using something called Zest. And I'll try to do a Zest script, but also I want to take a look at what comes pre-packaged when you download the community scripts. You can see that the scripts are kind of broken out by different functions in ZAP, depending on what you're doing, whether it is the active rules, that's when you're actually doing an active scan and attacking a site. Passive rules is what evaluates pages as they come in, just as you're browsing or conducting a spider. Proxy is like handling the proxy. And you see we're getting a little description over here of what each one does. So let's take a look quickly at the passive rules. You can see that we have a bunch of pre-built ones, including one called hunt.py, which I actually think is pretty cool. This is for bug hunting, right? For bug bounties, and can be really, really helpful if you're kind of looking for potentially vulnerable stuff to hack on. So I'm going to just right-click and enable this, and I'm going to reload the bookstore. Don't ask me again. Now let's go back to ZAP and look at our alerts. Oh, nothing yet. All right. But we may start seeing some interesting matches on this as we go through. So another one I'm going to do is I'm going to call out. I'm going to create a Zest script. I was meaning to do this, and I'm going to specifically look for HTML comments in the HTML source, because especially in CTFs, a lot of junk is just hidden in there, right? So I'm going to create a new passive rule. I'm going to try to do it with Zest, and if I can't do it, then I'll do it in Python. So I'm going to create a new script here, and call it weird HTML comments. Actually, weird comments. Yeah, passive rules. We'll try it with Zest and see if we can do it. And we'll do a passive default template. And what does it do? And so we'll load that on start. Okay. And we'll just save that out. Now notice that weird comments gives me this little kind of template here. And if I expand it, this is not something you can do with the other scripts, right? How I expand it in. This is how Zest scripting works. If I right click, this is where I can like add stuff to the Zest script. Pretty neat. So action print, like if I run this now, it'll just say called for request.url. That's all it will print out to my script console. That's not really what I wanted to do, but just so you can see it happen, let's reload this and let's see. Let me enable the thing, enable script, and let me reload this, and you should see we get some output. Called for right here. So we got the output from our script. Let's do something interesting. What I want to do is I want to look at every incoming response and see if there's anything that looks like a comment. So that would be like double slashes or in the HTML syntax, those comments. So let's see. Add Zest condition regex. So variable name, it would be response.body, regex. Let's do at the beginning of the line, we'll say like any amount of just whatever, and then 2 backslashes, or sorry, 2 forward slashes, is going to give us, we're going to match anything that has a JavaScript comment. Okay. Let's see if that works. So if regex, then we're going to do add a Zest action. Add control, add comment. I don't want to do that. Add Zest assignment. So I may not be able to raise alerts from here. I'm not sure. Let's just print. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have to set a variable. This might be too complicated for a Zest script. I don't know. Let's just do a simple print just to see. And let's do request.url, right? Oh, no spaces. All right, let's do it. All right, nothing so far. Let's run our spider. So I can manually navigate through the page, of course, but I'm also going to go back to my sites. And on 144, I'm going to attack spider. And what this is going to do is it's going to read a any links that it can find in the body of the pages and follow them. Now, this doesn't work super well on modern JavaScript applications because it's reading the incoming response. If the incoming response is a bunch of JavaScript that has yet to render the elements of the document, that's not going to work out. But for something, let's see, is this PHP? No, it's Flask, but there's still a pretty solid template going on here, so I have something to spider off of. If it were like a React app or something like that, I would have to use the Ajax spider rather than the normal spider. You see I've got the Ajax spider here. Now, what the Ajax spider does is it uses either HTML unit or other browsers in headless mode to render the HTML and then get the DOM that way. So you can use either one. I usually, if it's a PHP application or something I know that's giving me real data, I'll do a traditional spider first and then an Ajax. If I know that I'm working off an Angular or React app or something like that that I know isn't going to give me anything useful in the DOM until I render the JavaScript, I'll just go after the JavaScript. But I'm going to spider this now and let's see what happens. You can see I get a ton of stuff back. Right, all the assets going in. No robots.txt there. It just searches, ZAP just searches for these even without me asking for them. All right, I see assets. Looks like my regex isn't working, because obviously I should have seen some comments there, but I didn't. So I'm going to remove this script, and maybe we'll try it in Python. Let's see if my hunt.py came up with something. You can see this. So you can see possible SSTI hunt, or pop server-side template injection. It's telling me that there's potential SSTI here because it found the name parameter inside of application traffic. The same is going to go through like the IDOR and the RCEs. To be honest with you, you'll see that it's like noticing that ID exists here, and it's like, oh hey, maybe you can attack that, which we know, but it's still nice to have the alert trigger. Now, let's take a look at this main page here, and let's view the source. All right, so there's some stuff. Let's see if we actually picked up that JS file. Okay, we did. So there's api.js and util.js. Util looks just like jQuery, and let's look at API. So this is actually using this is actually using the API on 5000 to get whatever it's using, which is kind of interesting. And check out this comment. It says the previous version of the API had a parameter misspelled, which led to local, it's not the right led, to local file inclusion vulnerability. Glad, comma splice, glad we now have the new version, which is secure. Okay, other than the catastrophic grammar in this comment, we now know that there's an issue with the API. Now let's look at the API as we discovered it. So there's v2. So there may be a v1 that has the ability. What did it say that we could do with it? The previous version of the API had a parameter which led to local file inclusion. LFI, that's interesting. So if I were going after LFI, what would I do? I might look for Etsy password. fun. So how might I go after this? Well, I can do it with a bunch of different tools, but obviously, let's try to do it in ZAP, right? Because that's what we're here to learn. So let's see. What we're going to do is we're going to take our API as is here. Just grab like this. Okay. I've heard this book is really good, by the way, and Lecky's Ancillary Justice. But now that we have that in our history, and the reason I wanted to do that was to get the good user agent and all this other stuff. I could have done it from the curl stuff as well, but just to show you. So we have this here. What we're going to do is we're going to manually edit this, and we're going to fire off V1 to see if V1 works. It does. Okay. So, all right. No, we know the V1 works. That's interesting. The comment said that we have there's a parameter that allowed LFI. We have no idea what that is. Let's re-edit that V1 and set, because we want to mess with this, but we want this to be static. So let's just add this here and make it right, the usual Etsy password to see. Okay, so it gives us back a 200. It didn't give us a 500, so that parameter didn't error, or the argument didn't error it out. We just got an empty array in JSON. So we can leave that well enough alone, but then what we want to do, we want to fire a bunch of these at it. Not just ID, but like throw a whole bunch of them at it. And we can do that with the built-in fuzzer in ZAP. So much like the intruder in Burp. This is absolutely Bookstore from Try Hack Me. That is what we're working on. No spoilers if you've done it. So we're gonna fuzz this thing. So the fuzzer is kind of little nuanced, but it makes sense eventually. So the idea is, what I did, that was a little quick. I highlighted the thing that I want to fuzz. I can do this after the fact, but it's easy to do just to start it this way. Highlight what you want to fuzz, right click and choose fuzz. This opens up our fuzz generator, right? And already you can see that I've got a payload kind of configured, or a fuzz location configured. And from here, I can add payloads. So what I'm going to do is add a payload. I can choose not any kind, but several kinds. I can create a list of strings myself. There are built-in file fuzzers, and this is from like FuzzDB if I wanted to do that. Is there an API list in here? No. There's discovery. Let's see. But no worries, because what we're going to do, I have sec lists on here. I'm going to use sec lists. So file, select. I'm going to go to documents. Just kidding. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to user, share, and sec lists. And we're going to go discovery, web content. We're going to try API first. We're going to try like common paths.txt. No, that's no good. Let's try something else. Objects.txt. Okay, worth a shot. And so we're going to add that. Okay. And we're going to just fire this off. And what we're going to do is we're going to watch what happens. We're going to sort by response size. And we're going to watch what happens as information comes in. Because if we do get Etsy password with one of these, the response size is going to pop. So we'll see it. So we hit start fuzzer. We sort by size response body. Yeah. And we found, so author it found, which we knew from one of the other API requests. It's reasonably quick. It's not as quick as like FFUF or WFuzz, but, you know, for a Java application, it's pretty snappy. While this is finishing, let's think about how we could have done some automating of the discovery of that comment. And any others that might be around here, right? We have a scripting engine in here, and I really want to make use of it. So, and you can see that hunt.py actually did for us, or this is how the hunt.py script works, right? You can see how it's written. Let me make that a little bit easier to read. Right? It has a bunch of stuff kind of defined for it, and you can see how it's scanning for specific things. I didn't write this, somebody else did. It's part of the community scripts package. But we can write our own. So I'm going to create a new script. Call it comment extractor. Oh, wait, I don't even have to. Because see, there's a lot of them are like already here. To find HTML comments, right? This is a JavaScript script, but it should work. It's got a nice regex for doing this. And notice that it has this raise alert function. So this is actually going to raise an alert for us if we do it. So I'm going to enable this script. I'm going to disable hunt because it's not giving me anything I don't already know. I'm actually going to knock off these hunt alerts. All right, so I've got this find HTML comments, and with that, I'm going to just like manually go through these pages. We haven't even done any, you know, extra discovery on this yet. We haven't, you know, had the need to yet. We can. But let's see if ZAP popped anything for us. All right. Information exposure through HTML comments. Found some stuff for us. So, as you can see, it alerted on this page, and we've got some HTML comments on here. Look at this one. Also, the debugger pin is inside SIDS. We have a username, potentially. Bash history file. Okay. Looks like that fuzz didn't find it. There's one other list that I wanted to try. So we'll redo the fuzz. And this time we will use user share. Go to sec lists. Discovery, web content, and directory, lowercase 2.3.medium. This thing is a beast. It's quite large, as a matter of fact, but it's a really good comprehensive list. So let's fire this off at it and see what we get. And let's see if there were any other suspicious comments. No, I don't. Whoa, but what is this? Alright, there's something in base 64 here. Or base... It's all caps, so base 32. Okay. I'm going to throw that at Cyber Chef, see what it gives us. From Hex. Okay, that's definitely a Rickroll, so we're going to leave that alone. No thank you. You know it's bad when you like start recognizing the view codes for them. Okay. How's our fuzzer doing? Author and ID 1%. Okay, I might not have the patience to let ZAP do this. Oh, okay. It's the stick. Okay. Great. Well, as I said, this is... If we wanted to do this another way, how can we do it? Do I have FFUF installed? I do. Great. There's not yet a good fuzzer written in Rust. I should probably get on that. There's a Rust scan is awesome for port scanning, and FairX Buster is great at directory for brute forcing, but there's not a good Rust fuzzer yet. So so FFUF is written in Go, and it's really pretty solid, but it's also a lot faster than this. So we're gonna kill this, and we're gonna do this through FFUF. So FFUF. Since we've got two terminal windows, let's bring up the help on one and do it in the other. So fuzz faster, you fool. FFUF takes a URL argument, and it's nice that this is all GET requests. It makes it real easy for us. We're going to just take this right here, and we're going to put it in quotes so Fish doesn't get confused with the dots. And instead of ID, the way that FFUF works is it takes fuzz as the thing that it's going to replace. And then we're going to get the word list of user share, word list, sec list, discovery, web content, directory, list, lowercase, medium. And it's going to watch how that goes for us. Show. There's our parameter. So let's take that, bring it back over into ZAP. Let's edit this thing with the request editor. Change ID to show. Now let's see what we get. Oh yeah. That's what's up. So sure enough, there is a SID. Now we don't know how show works, although it's getting the file. it's probably not running a shell command itself. It's just opening a file through Python. But we do know that his bash history is going to have what we need. So we're going to run, we'll leave the ... there, right? And go home syd.bash history. And let's see if we get something back from that. Okay, making progress. We have ourselves the workzoid pin. Let's get back over to our console and let's try that pin. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's not gonna actually give me the return, right? But can I like get CWD? Yeah. Oh, I was in SID the whole time. Okay. Well, there's no reason to faff around with this interactive console. We're going to get it to open a shell for us. So let's listen on a port. I like 8888. Not on a real engagement, though. Maybe 8443 or 8080. And got my handy hack tool just so I don't have to remember the dang syntax for this every time. 10.13.7.20 port 8888. And even though there's a Python in here, the Python one is like really fussy with line breaks and semicolons and stuff. And since we can run os.system, we're going to just fire this off to see if this works. Dope. Okay, now this is just like by its very nature an incredibly unstable shell. So I'm gonna get to work stabilizing this thing. Let's first find out exactly what I'm working with here. Okay, 64-bit Ubuntu, just like everything on TryHackMe. Let's I'd love a CentOS box every once in a while, just to, you know, just to spice things up. Let's do Venom, P, Linux. Yeah, that. Okay. And let me fire up my Metasploit console. I'm not studying for the OSCP, so I can use Metasploit. Use exploit. Multi-handler. Set payload. Linux. 64. Every time. I always like type too quickly for the autocomplete. And set L port 888. Set L host 10.13.7.20. Nope. .20. Cool. Not enough 8s in that port. And run. All right. Meanwhile, over here, let's fire up a Python web server on port 8000, and then over in our shell, we're going to just use wget 10.13.7.20 port 8000/MT. Down it come. Chmod plus X, MT, and MT. And now I have an interpreter shell. And let's do Python 3. Let's get us a proper TTY here. Nice. Okay. What do we got? Well, I've got user.txt. Let's get that. There's the user flag. Okay. And let's see what else we got here. Well, there appears to be an executable with the try harder with the SUID bit set. So, okay. Interesting. That's not going to be a thing. Oh, it did work. 64-bit elf. Oh. I don't want to do that. Let's cat api.py just in case there's anything in there. Don't think so. Unless there's like users. But we already have the user here. I don't know. I feel like... Okay. Just in case. We don't have the source, we just have the compiled binary. Disappointing. Alright. Will. I want to grab this thing and look at it, I guess. I mean, let's run it. See what happens. I don't know. Let's do an ltrace on it. Okay, I don't know why strace destroyed my console, but it did. I want to get this thing off the system and use my own tools. So I'm going to... Let me set up a catcher here. Yep, I got it. Okay. I always forget like how to end the NetCat session when I'm doing that. But all right, we have try harder, so I'm gonna leave this shell up just in case I need it. Is Pentester like having a PhD in cybersecurity? No, it's not. It's far less theoretical and it's much more practical. Here's what it is. It's about being very comfortable not knowing what you're doing until you figure out. Don't think about it that way. Don't think about it that way. Information security does not follow a traditional academic level of, promotion or gradation at all. You can get a PhD, I guess, in like computer science, and focus on security issues or like binary exploitation. You could do that stuff, but the actual work is not really that. We're all always learning. There's always more to discover, and most people who make a big deal about pretending that they're experts are not, and I certainly would never put myself in that category. I'm surprised anything I do on the stream works, to be honest with you. All right, we've got try harder. So what I'm going to do now is use radar 2 to just disassemble it. Those addresses look so weird, but okay. All right. Oh, you use Ghidra for this one? So here's what happened. I started trying to teach myself I tried to teach myself assembly like right as Ghidra started getting released and gaining popularity, and it's really great for decompilation, and I might fall back on that one, but at this point, like, I spent so much time learning all of the like commands in radar. I'm like, no, I'm going to use this. It's a sunk cost. So let's see what we got. There's our set UID right here, in case anybody wants to play along at home. We're moving 0 into the EDI register and setting set UID. That sets the UID, the effective UID, to 0 or root. This is interesting. You should try Hack the Box. Detox. Hey, congratulations! Hack the Box was always very much like a high watermark for me before Try Hack Me came out. Like, I wasn't very good at Hack the Box stuff. Hey, if you can do them all in 3 months, like, more power to you. I could not do that. Some of them are really tough. Some of them are really gamey, right? A lot of them is not. What I found is that as I spend more and more time, good God, 10 hours a day. As I spend more time doing this professionally, the less excited I get by the Hack the Box stuff, just because, some of them are pretty real life and some of them are very not. Some of them are more CTF like. And it's like, I'm not as excited by the ones that are clearly gamified, Like, oh, you're gonna... The Portswigger Academy? Yeah, maybe. It's 1 month. Alright, so let's see. We've set the UID. Now we're moving into one of our variables, this value in hex. Now I'm going to fire up IPython just because it's going to be easier to work with the hex values in here. So we're going to call it bar1, and that's going to be 0x5db3. Okay. Pwnable KR, I mean, if you want to do reverse engineering, that's where you want to go. Or the Narnia stuff from Over the Wire. This is interesting too. The 0x28. I don't know. I have no idea how long it's going to take you. How could I possibly know that? Everybody's skill level is different. Narnia, I'm still working on. But if you're doing this stuff for 10 hours a day, you know, I'm sure it won't take you that long. What's the fastest I've seen? I haven't seen a scoreboard. I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it, to be honest with you. It's not, getting a job is the competition. The rest of it, unless you're in a CTF, then it's a competition too. But the rest of it, like learning this stuff, it's not a race. Okay, check this out. We're XORing EAX with this value here. And we've got to compare it to this. Which we'll call bar 2. Yeah, I think Narnia is on par with Pwnable KR. Maybe a little bit easier because it's meant to be introductory. And then jump if not equal to, so you're comparing, is Pwnable KR as advanced as it gets? No. First of all, a lot of this stuff is like, you know, the Linux reverse engineering stuff. If you really want to go crazy, start doing Windows reverse engineering. Get your hands dirty with, you know, working with the Win32 API. It's a whole other world over there. Okay, so if we jump if it's not equal to A23. So we go to incorrect. So we have to, whatever value we put in, we XOR it with this, and it has to equal this. All right, this is where my math brain is going to start failing me. Yeah, this is the Windows internals thing. This is like real life. If you want to do like malware analysis or something like that, you would be doing this. Learning the Win32 API. Yeah, I know that the inverse of XOR is XOR itself, but I just want to make sure that I'm getting it right. What is Python XOR? Is it just caret? Okay. So if I do... Do I have one too many values here, right? What is this? var 10h. Because I'm XORing with EAX, right? So, and EAX is just coming in from scanf. So I don't know what this X5DB3 is, but I don't think it's useful. Right? So if I just XOR this against this, I get my result, right? So... Yeah? Nope. All right. This var 10h, I don't know what it's doing, but it doesn't seem to be... Oh. There we go. It only comes into play after the... Wait. Wait. Crap. It does matter. Okay, so... There are two XORs. Of course. There we go. So... This does matter. So the first thing happens... We get the... We scanf... Then we XOR EAX, so our original number, whatever that is, gets XORed with this XOR 0x116. Okay. And then the result resides in EAX, right? So, and then that's moved. Yeah. So then we move that over to var ch. And then we move what was in 10h over into EAX. And we var ch with that. Okay. Can R2 do pseudocode? There is a... Actually, so there's a plugin to do... Yeah, actually, hold on a second. It's doing some of it now. You can see that I've got like inputs and it's doing like some of the decompilation here, sort of. There is also, I think, it's like a PC, right? Output C or Python format. That's not the... What's PC... Wait, for real? Let's see what happens if I do like put it in Python. That's not at all helpful. Thanks for the bites. There is a plugin that you can do Ghidra-based decompilation in it, but I don't know. I'm trying to do this on hard mode because I really want to get good at reading assembly. I don't know why, just because it always was for me, like, that was my thing, that I never thought I'd be able to do. I have an English degree, so that I can do any of this is kind of like, what? You know what, Detox? I feel ya. I spent a lot of time, not just the only person interested in security, but the only person interested in IT. I worked in schools, and I was the only person within hundreds of people in an organization. Yeah. We're a pack of strays here in InfoSec. That is something I really like about it. At its best, it's very inclusive, and at its worst, it is gatekeepy BS, which we need to end. Okay, so back to the problem at hand. So there are two XORs here. We XOR first with whatever gets XORed with 0116. So, okay. And then 10H comes into the picture here. So we have, okay, so this... Try this. Okay. So the first XOR is with 116. Whatever that result is, and we don't know what it is XORed with the 0 dB to get this. Okay, so if I... Whoa, not helpful. If I get the result of XORing this and bar 1, am I one step away? Oh. Wow, I did not expect to be able to do that. All right, we got root. Fun. What's S? Okay. It was in root too? If you popped in a guitar and jump into the function, it sticks out quite a bit. I bet it does. I bet it does. Oh, is it really? All right, cool. Well, I'm okay with, you know, riding uphill on the hard gear for no reason. All right. You know what? That's a good day's work. So we're going to call it there, friends. Thanks for hanging out. This has been a good Attack on Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about ZAP. And tomorrow I'll be back just doing some programming stuff, continuing our exploration of F#. And I don't care if nobody else is excited about it. I love functional programming languages. So we're going to do F# until I can build something useful with it. But until then, happy hacking, everybody. I'll see you next time.